Good morning, students. The topic of today's discussion is high frequency limitations of conventional tubes. Now, as we know, at microwave frequencies, the size of electronic devices required for generation of microwave energy becomes smaller and smaller. This results in lesser power handling capacity and increased noise level. Electronic devices such as tubes and transistors will be required even at microwave frequencies. As expected, the tubes can provide higher output power while the transistors are smaller, have lesser noise, better reliability with reduced output power levels. Conventional triodes, tetrodes and pentodes are usually useful only at low microwave frequencies. Special tubes would be required even at ultra high frequencies, as conventional tubes have certain limitation at microwave frequencies, which will be discussed in this particular section. However, all tubes including UHF tubes are bound to fail at higher microwave frequencies due to their limitation at particular these frequencies. Now, to see whether or not a conventional device like a triode or transistor works satisfactorily at higher frequencies, say at UHF frequencies or at microwave frequencies, we can consider a simple oscillator and try to increase the operating frequency. In this process, one would quite naturally proceed to reduce the tank circuit parameters, that is, either the value of inductor L or the capacitor C. But what is the limit up to which one can decrease the value of these tank circuit elements? The natural answer is one can go up to the limit wherein still the operating frequency of the oscillator is decided by the external circuits that are L and C. At this point, the device parameter like the inter-electrode capacitance and lead inductance are negligible. As the frequency of operation is made higher than these device parameters start taking dominating part in circuit and affect the operation of the oscillator. Means as we increase the frequency, the inter-electrode capacitance and the lead inductance, they are going to affect the performance of the oscillator. There are other reasons too that the conventional devices cannot be used for the frequencies which are lying in microwave range. These can be stated as the inter-electrode capacitance effect, second, the lead inductance effect, then transit time effect, gain bandwidth limitation, effect due to RF losses, the conductance, skin depth or the I-square losses and the dielectric losses are included in this RF losses. And next is effect due to the radiation losses. Now we are going to see these one by one. First is inter-electrode capacitance effect. Now, as frequency increases, the reactance Xc, that is going to decrease, because here Xc is equals to 1 upon 2 pi Fc. Here Xc and this frequency, they are inversely proportional. So if I say frequency is increasing, then I can also say the reactance that is going to decrease and the output voltage decreases due to the shunting effect. Because at higher frequencies X becomes almost short, this becomes at higher frequency, this Xc becomes almost short, so the inter-electrode capacitance comes into effect. So if this becomes inter-electrode capacitance, if this becomes a problem, then how we can minimize it? The inter-electrode capacitance can be minimized by decreasing the area of electrodes. As we know, capacitance is equals to epsilon naught epsilon r a by d. Now here, if we decrease the area, that is, if we decrease this a, then definitely we can decrease the capacitance, and if this capacitance decreases, then this effect will be less. Next is lead inductance, that is XL. As we know, XL equals to 2 pi into F into L. So as frequency increases, the reactance XL, that also increases, and hence the voltage appearing at the active electrodes are less than the voltages at the base pins. So this results in decrease in the gain part. So here also the gain decreases because of the lead inductance. The effect of this lead inductance can be decreased by decreasing L. Since L is proportional to the reactance, L equals to L divided by mu naught mu r by A. So here L is proportional to the reactance. So here L is proportional to the reactance. So L can be decreased by using larger size short leads without base pins, that is by increasing A and by decreasing L. This however reduces the power handling capacity of our device. Next effect is transit time effect. Now what is transit time effect? Transit time is basically the time taken by the electron to reach from cathode to the anode. That time is transit time. Suppose we say the separation between cathode and the anode is d, and the velocity of electron is v naught. Then time, as we know, time is distance divided by the speed. So we can say this tau transit time taken by the electron to travel from cathode to anode, can be written as d divided by v naught, that is transit time. And velocity, initial velocity of the electron is defined by this formula, that is under root twice of ev by m, where E the electronic charge, V the potential of the plate, and m is the mass of the electron. So this tau can be written as d divided by under root twice of ev by m. So at low frequencies, transit time is negligible compared to period of the signal. As we know, Gm is delta Ip, that is Ip is the plate current and Vg is the grid voltage. So both Vg and Ip, they are in phase. So the plate current respond immediately to change in the grid voltage. Means if there is some change in the grid voltage, the corresponding change in plate current can be immediately seen if our operating frequencies are less. As both Vg and Ip are in phase, so the plate current Ip respond immediately or instantly to change in control grid voltage, that is Vp, Vg and Ip are in phase. But on the other hand, at higher frequencies, the transit time tau is comparable with the period of the signal, which is very small. This is the period of the signal that is very small in nanosecond, and the transit time is comparable to this time period at high frequencies. That is, IP lags Vg. Plate current will lag the grid voltage, and Gm becomes a complex quantity. Therefore, change in plate current occurs after a finite delay with respect to change in control grid voltage Vg. Hence, the plate current lags behind the, as we can see from here, the plate current lag behind the control grid voltage, or in other words, transconductance voltage Gm. Transconductor voltage Gm becomes a complex quantity, as now it has a lagging phase angle. The gain then becomes complex. So, grid current absorb power even if the grid is negative with respect to cathode and is proportional to the square of the frequency. That formula we can study in our upcoming lecture. Now, how can we solve the problem of this transit time? To minimize transit time tau, which is given by this formula, d can be decreased. That is, we can decrease the separation between the plates, but this can increase the inter-electrode capacitance. And second is that V, cathode potential, can be increased. If we increase this here, then we can decrease the value of this tau. But this potential value is also cannot be increased indefinitely. It is not there we can keep on increasing the value of V. It is also possible up to some certain extent. So, to overcome the problem which is arising because of this tau, we can make a trade-off between inter-electrode capacitance and the transit time. That trade-off is must in case of working at microwave frequencies. Next problem is the gain bandwidth limitation. Now, as we see, the maximum gain when tuned circuit is at resonance is given by this formula: A max equals to Gm by G, and the gain bandwidth product is, as we see from this, the gain bandwidth product is given by A max into bandwidth, and this is coming out to be the ratio between Gm and C. Here we see the gain bandwidth product is independent of the operating frequency. As Gm and C are fixed, if we can fix this Gm and this C, if we fix these two for a particular tube or the circuit, higher gain can be achieved at cost of bandwidth only. Also, at microwave frequencies, this can be overcome by use of one, reentrant cavities. We can use the reentrant cavities, and second, slow wave tubes. We will study these tubes in our further lectures. For larger gain over a large bandwidth, we have to use these two. Next factor is effect due to the radio frequency losses, RF losses. We can also say it as skin effect losses or I square R losses. Now, at higher frequencies, at which current has the tendency to confine itself to a smaller cross section of the conductor towards its outer surface. This is something skin effect. Now these type of losses come into play at higher frequencies, because at higher frequencies the current has the tendency to confine itself to a smaller cross section area of the conductor towards its outer shell, as can be seen from this diagram. This is any conductor having an effective area of A, and this is the skin depth. So skin depth delta, this delta, not tau, delta equals to under root of 2 divided by omega, the frequency, mu and sigma. From here we can see this delta skin effect depth is in inverse proportion with the frequency. So this can be written as this delta is inversely proportional to 1 by root of omega, and this effective area, this is also inversely proportional to the under root of this frequency. We also know the resistance equals to rho L by A, where L is the length of the conductor, resistivity is rho, and this is the area. Here this R is in inverse proportion with the effective area, and from this we know effective area is in inverse proportion with under root of F. So if we replace this effective area by this 1 by F, then we can say our R becomes rho L divided by 1 by under root of F, which becomes R equals to rho L multiplied by the under root of F. That is, as we increase frequencies, this frequency, as we increase this part, then our resistance, this will increase, this factor will increase, and so the losses increase at higher frequencies, because this is again in direct proportion with effective area, and can be decreased by increasing the size of the conductor. This can be the case of skin depth. Hence we can say losses will increase at higher frequencies, and these losses can be reduced only by increasing the size of the conductors. Next factor is the various dielectric losses. Now this occurs in various types of insulating material used in devices such as spacers, glass envelopes, silicon or plastic encapsulations, etc. The loss in any of these material in general is given by this particular formula, which is P equals to pi of F into V naught square epsilon R tangent of the sigma, where this is loss angle, sigma is loss angle, and P is the power loss. So from this we can say कि as our frequency increases, our power losses increases, this P increases because there is F. If we increase this factor F, we are going to increase these dielectric losses or the power losses, and these can be decreased by eliminating tube base and to reduce the surface area of the glass. If we can do these two things, we can eliminate the base area, and if we reduce the surface area of the glass, we can decrease these type of losses. And the last factor which is going to be effective one is radiation losses. Now whenever dimension of wire approaches the wavelength, it will emit radiation. That is, radiation losses increases with increase in frequency, and this can be removed by using proper shielding of the tube and its circuitry. So to revise, we are having these different factors which are going to be proved as limiting factors. Because of these, we are not going to use our conventional tubes, that is like tetrode or pentode, at microwave frequencies. These limitations of conventional tubes can be summarized as inter-electrode capacitance, transit time effect, lead inductance effect, gain bandwidth limitation, effect due to RF losses, and lastly effect due to the radiation losses. So this is all for today's lecture. We are going to discuss the microwave tubes in our upcoming lecture. Thank you. Have a very nice day.